great looking basketball shoes here. I have a synthetic leather and mesh upper that's lightweight yet still really, really durable. Got lace up closure here to give you full adjustability, some perforations for excellent breathability.
The traction pattern on these guys is as good as it looks. Is at Kobe 9 level, it's like right there. It's right there, maybe just below. And the only reason why I say that is because this stuff is super soft, so if you take them outside, much like the Kobe 9, it's gonna grind through pretty quickly, but the Kobe 9s did have slightly more firm rubber than these, and I'm just talking about like just slightly. The weird thing is that not only did this perform really well, but being that they are translucent rubber, they were also like dust magnets. And even with that, they still stuck like glue. It was insane. I couldn't believe it. The pattern itself pretty much covers every movement that you could think of, being that it is multi-directional. It's all these spirals and waves. It works really well. Zero complaints other than maybe the durability. Cushion, for those of you guys that have been rocking with Under Armour for a long ass time, you already know it's micro G. It's back. It's just below what it used to feel like. The originals was extremely bouncy, super rubbery feeling underfoot. These guys very close to that, not quite at the same level, but they still feel very good. The thing that I like about these is that they were able to kind of fine tune that balance. It's just something that I talk about quite often when we're talking about, you know, cushion in shoes. I like a nice balanced ride, and these guys offer that. So you get a lot of impact protection with a lot of court feel, which I think is awesome. I know that the midsole looks very thick, especially in the rear. It's deceptively thick though. You actually sit inside that quite a bit. If you look through to this like little clear section, you see a little cutout right there. That's pretty much like where your foot rides. So you're not very high off the ground. The midsole itself is mainly there for support. So if you are a fan of OG micro G, this is the closest thing I think that we've gotten in quite a long time. Again, still not quite at the same level, full of bounciness and all that stuff, but if you like a balanced ride between court feel and cushion, these guys right here, pretty much where it's at. The materials are very similar to what we saw on the original Anatomix Spawn. I think it's interesting because that's kind of like 2011-ish, so maybe it can be considered a little bit outdated. However, it still works really well. The whole implementation of everything is meant to mimic the foot map, the way that it's overlaid. Those little skin pieces are supposed to mimic your own skin, support where you need it, but then retain all this flexibility, mobility where you want it as well. It's been durable so far, no complaints with that. The only problem that I have is with the way that it fits, but we'll get into that in just a second. So the fit on these guys is true to size. However, they are slightly, I wouldn't call them like real wide, but there's a lot of volume for me, at least above my toe. It is something that I did feel in the original version of the Anatomix Spawn, but the rest of the fuse area was actually like very much one-to-one with my foot. It was just the mesh area felt kind of like so light that I didn't feel it on my foot, even though it didn't give me like real dead space. These guys, I don't know if you could see it, but they do give me dead space. I really have to yank up those forefoot laces to get that forefoot tightness that I really like in my shoes. It's got that kind of like bubble in there, and I'm not a big fan of that, so that to me was just a bit of a bummer. It's not going to fit everybody the same though, so don't worry about that. Definitely go in store and try them on if you can, if possible, but if you're buying online, you just want to try them out for yourself, true to size is what I would recommend. The rest of the lacing system worked fairly well. The only drawback that I thought the shoe had was right here in the rear of the sneaker. I would sometimes feel my heel popping out of the back, so I wish that there was like an extra eyelet just a little bit further back or maybe a little bit down, something like that. But otherwise, these things fit almost as good as the originals. Not quite as good, but almost. The good news is though is that we have seen samples of mid-top versions, so I do believe that those will fit a lot nicer and a lot more one-to-one with your foot. So if you're not a fan of lows, maybe you will be into those. Now the support on these guys is pretty average. You've got an internal heel counter right there. It's not super strong or anything, but like I was saying before, you fit really like deep into that midsole, so the midsole is really the main support feature, keeping you on the footbed of the shoe. Does a great job of that. You also have an additional one right here made out of rubber. Does not dig into my foot. Might dig into yours, just never dig into mine. The base is fairly wide. I like the way that it's set up. You got a nice little anatomical flex groove right there, so it doesn't like feel like the shoe's restricting whatsoever. And then again, because you're sitting inside of that kind of wide base, there is no real outrigger, but this whole area is kind of built like one without actually having to look like one. So instead of looking like a fin sticking out of the shoe, it looks a little bit cleaner, I guess. The rest of the support pretty much relies on the upper. Like I was saying, I wish the forefoot fit me a little bit better. I don't like this bunching and all that stuff, just to get like that secure fit that I like. And also I do wish that there was one additional eyelet just to kind of like reinforce the drawing of my heel into the rear of the sneaker. Those are my only real complaints complaints about the shoe. Otherwise, I think that these are fantastic, especially for the price point, 110 bucks. I mean, this is a great time for performance basketball where you obviously have your heavy hitters that are, 150 and up, but you don't have to buy them. And it's very obvious that a lot of people are not, because those things are hitting outlets like crazy. You can get great hoop shoes at decent prices, well under 150, anywhere from 130 to like 100 bucks. You can get some solid stuff. And that pretty much takes care of it for these guys. I think that they did a great job with them. I do like the original just a little bit more in the fit department, but as far as the traction goes, these things just blow the originals out of the water. So if you're looking for traction, this is definitely one of those shoes that's going to have you covered. And again, if you're a fan of original Micro G, this is the closest that we've gotten. Maybe since then, I can't remember what came after. It was the Clutch Fit Dry. Pretty sure those were hella bouncy. So not on that level. Definitely more subdued, but still super comfortable. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully it helped you guys out. If you need any more information, you can click the link in the description box below. It's going to head you over to weartesters.com, where you can check out their price, their weight, and their score. Although I do that all the time, man. I'd already said the price was 110.
Go find out the weight and the score.
Those are super important anyways, right? I mean, that's just what you're here for. That's all they do. They click over, they look at the scorecard, they leave. They don't read anything, they don't watch anything. They just think that scores are where it's at. I could pick my shoes on scores. You can't. You need information. Thank you so much for watching once again, and until next time, guys, have a good one.
Can we talk about the smell?
The smell you want to?
That sounded funny. They smell like Band-Aids.
They do.
Like you open the box and you're like, what is that?
I don't know what type of glue they use.
I feel like it's that skin material or
Yeah,
whatever.
I don't know if it's the skin, like the skin fuse or whatever it is, but
maybe it's similar to what they use for Band-Aids.
oh, that like rubbery plastic,
Yeah.
that water repellent.
Yeah.
Kind of, it's maybe they're made in the Band-Aid factory. I don't really know. Under Armour's been known to make their shoes in like non-footwear factories, like their Speedform stuff.
Right.
And they make those in the bra factories. But yeah, they definitely smell funny, but I don't think it's a bad smell. I just think it's just not a shoe smell.
It's just when you first open the box, you recognize the smell, and it took me a couple minutes to be like, what is it?
Like if you had a blindfold on and you were like, guess what this is, just by its smell, you would think that this was a box of Band-Aids.
Yes.
And not a, Wicked Paris performance basketball sneakers.
So where would you rank this, right under the original or right above?
It depends, because I still think that the traction here is just awesome. This is probably some of the best traction we've had this year, period. But the fit for me in the forefoot, it just didn't work for me. The original was very narrow. It's a very thin looking shoe. They took that whole like anatomic thing, like anatomical, to the max. It looked very similar to what a shoe last looks like that shape that they wrap a shoe around, or the upper, and then they slapped a midsole and outsole onto it. That's where these differ a little bit. These are definitely not quite as anatomical, but at the same time, the originals only would fit comfortably certain foot shapes. So for me, if I'm just comparing it to the original, I think that the materials here are a lot lighter, and I like the way that those feel better than the original. The original was, again, 2011-ish. So very plasticky. So I like that. I just didn't like that I had to tie them so tight in the front, because sometimes when you do that, you cut off some circulation, and then when you do that, your feet feel like dead weight.
Did that happen?
A little bit. It depended on what it was and stuff. And same thing with the rear right here. I had to really like wrench that up. That will cut off circulation right where your ankle bends.
Right.
Again, not very comfortable. When that happens, I do think that they'll fit some people perfectly.
Right.
It's just not me. Again, the traction though, awesome. The cushion I might hold more because it's lighter too. Like it's lighter than the original. So the cushion here might be slightly better in that sense, that they were able to reduce weight but still remain protective for impact. Still give you court feel. Still be super flexible, like especially in the front where you want it. You don't want flex from here back, but everywhere else. I mean, other than the upper. From here forward, you want to be able to move. And they did a good job on it. Especially traction guys, like traction. A lot of people are like, yo, if you f up traction, which is true. It's the base of the shoe, the foundation, if you will. You mess that up, everything could be so awesome. It could be the best fitting sneaker ever. But if you're sliding, you got nothing. To me, I'd say that like traction and fit are almost like, if I'm gonna depict what is perfect for me in a basketball shoe, like it's those two things that almost coincide with one another. Like I had great fitting sneakers with some traction, so it sucks, so I can't wear them as much as I want to. And then vice versa, like these, great traction, but not quite the fit that I like. So again, it sucks in that sense.
I think fit is most important.
It really just depends. With running, I think it might be different because the fit adds to comfort.
I will take fit over cushion any day of the week.
That's what I'm saying, but for basketball, you need traction. Like there's no way around it. But at the same time, you need a good fitting sneaker, because just like a runner, you're moving. and you're moving in weird ways too. Like, you don't want things chafing, you don't want things pinching, binding, this, like I said, this bubble, you don't want that. But for me, it depends on the day which one I hold higher than the other one. But for me, if they don't both work, then it's not a shoe that I'm gonna be like, I can't wait to take these back out. The traction had me like that, but then the fit was like, I was like, it was still close.
Is this the best Under Armour shoe right now? I know you really love the
I like
Curry
the Curry,
6.
yeah, I like the Curry 6. Like, that's the one that I like, really like. And I do like their Hover Havoc as well. I think that these are 3 good options. That's, I think, what it is. So like this maybe for a bigger foot, like something that can fill out this space a little bit more.
Yeah.
The Hover Havoc is a very tight sneaker, like tight. You know what I mean? All the way around, lengthwise, widthwise, all that stuff. The Curry 6 is short, and it's also got like a lot of court feel. You know, I think that those 3 model lineup is probably the most well-rounded that they've had in a while. I think that that's good.
That's cool.
Yeah, before there's kind of like all their shoes is the same, like no cushion.
They all look very different too.
Yes, and that's important. That's where Adidas, I think, messes up a little bit, where all their stuff kind of looks the same.